me put it down.
Show me no step, ayy, till we get to the disco, ayy, yeah. Oh my God, I need a painkiller, I'm in pain, yeah. Don't show me no step, ayy, till we get to the disco, ayy, yeah. Oh my God, I need a painkiller, I'm in pain, yeah. Don't show me no step, ayy, till we get to the disco, ayy, yeah. Oh my God, I need a painkiller, I'm in pain, yeah. You can show me your step.
Is my mic okay? It was doing some weird stuff there for a second. Just want to make sure it's okay. Okay, I think we're okay. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys doing well. Let's get rid of the intro. I am all types of, what do you call it? Out of sorts this morning. I've had so much stuff to do. I've been up since 4 a.m. What time is it? It's like noon. Because my dog hates thunderstorms, and anytime he hears a little bit of thunder, he starts crying, and that's it for sleep. So good thing is trades this morning were clean, and then I had a bunch of meetings. I just got off the phone with Magus to reorganize the Paragon server, which, by the way, might as well do this now. They're the Paragon discount codes are live, so if you guys are interested or if you've been waiting for discount codes, the code is BELIEVE, so feel free to plug that in at checkout. It's like 20% off everything, so lock that in because we only do discounts, I don't know, a couple times a year, maybe once or twice a year. So if you guys haven't, definitely make sure you check that out if you're interested. Let me make sure I tweeted out the stream. I think I have. Okay, we did. We're good. We're settled. Let's talk Bitcoin. Music's a little loud on my end. Make sure the let me know if the background music's too loud or too low, or we're good. All right, let's get settled into Bitcoin. So what's super interesting to me is, let me take you back. Let me let you guys in my mindset, where I'm standing, how bullish I am, if I'm bullish, if I'm bearish, because that's ultimately what most people care about, right? We're in a societal form of trading now, where what matters more is what side of the coin you're on, not how good your trades are. So I'm at the moment pretty damn bullish, and the reason being is because of the FUD that we continue to absorb. Now, it's not the greatest FUD ever, and the reason I say it's not the greatest FUD ever, because last week, really, what was it? It's the president and Elon beefing on Twitter, some stuff about the Epstein files. Yeah, great. Maybe it causes some uncertainty in markets. But the reaction afterwards is what I was more interested in, right? We flushed out, we dropped below the daily trend, and we reclaimed, and that reclaim was a really nice bullish trigger. I pretty much told you guys when we're stuck in this composite value, that if we get above 106, I think 110 or 110 is coming, right? And we did that super fast. Yes, we had to drop below. We had to get, shake people out, reclaim, and then we turbo sent. Last week is more of the same, right? So if we're not going to drop and lose a daily trend, if we're going to continue holding 103 and 104, the only place to go is but up, right? What's happening at the lows is shorts are getting very horny, whether it's off the back of Trump and Elon FUD or Israel Iran FUD, which we've seen. I swear it's been like 10 times in the past 2 years that we've had these headlines. It just pops up every single time we're at range high. So once again, popped up. The reaction is very telling. I've been saying this on Twitter, but this here was actually a bigger dump. This is a 4% dump off of Elon and Trump like beefing. And the Israel-Iran was only like 2%, 2.8%, right? So it's literally less for a global, conflict versus some FUD with the president, which I find very interesting. But why I say that I'm bullish is because one of my favorite triggers to action on is when FUD starts getting absorbed, when there's bad news and bad news can't break you down. So I think bears have gotten 2 opportunities now. This one even more so because of how cleanly we closed below the daily trend, how strong of a close this was, how we traded below the multi-day composite. I thought the bears had full reign here to really put in some damage if they wanted to. They failed to do so, and they're failing to capture on this one as well. You could say everything you wanted in this point. Like, bulls didn't even really want to bid. Talking to my friends, looking around CT, not many bulls in this region. I kept pointing out that you want to see a divergence between the impact of the headlines and price action, and we very cleanly got that, right? We weren't getting the worst sell-off based on headlines, right? People are saying wait for the Iran retaliation, wait for the illiquid weekend price action, wait for CME. None of those seem to matter. And if you're not going to go down, you're going to go up. So what's going to happen now, right? We're trading back at range premium, very clean range between these unswept equal highs, right? And a 3-tap at the lows. You guys can see the respect that we have for mid-range, turbo clean. If we start trading up at a premium again, this time around, we're going to want to see some of these, the spot bid that comes in, the passive bid that comes in, the people that come in and start limit ordering at the lows to protect price. You're going to want to see them chasing a little bit, right? That's the dynamic that we haven't seen. During this entire trending run up, the limit chase was pretty strong, right? Spot kept on coming in to support the rally, buy the dip, front run liquidity. You guys see all these lows are just not getting tagged, right? We're front running all of the classic ICT sweep the low, whatever. What has changed up here is we're starting to run some lows. We're starting to take some liquidity. And the reason that's happening is because of the passive book not being as strong, right? People aren't front running the levels anymore. People are getting deeper wicks and deeper fills. So the characteristic of the market up here, while we are still trending and holding the daily trend, the characteristics of price action has become a little bit more range bound. I think you guys can see that from just a bird's eye view. Price action is trading in more of a range. We are chopping around. We're not trending as hard as we once were. And I think your trading should reflect that, right? You should be bullish at the lows. You should be skeptical at the highs. You shouldn't be breakout longing. You should try to be buying into the FUD if you want more risk exposure to the market. And it's as simple as that. So we're trading at a premium. We got a really nice squeeze off the 4-hour downtrend this morning. We are trading above the rolling VWAPs, right? We've got the 30-day and the 7-day right here. This little mini consolidation that we put in around, the New York Open of the fresh week. I think this should hold, right? I don't think we should trade below this any point. This should be our anchoring point, 106. Call it 106.5, right, to be on the safer side. I don't think we should trade below this. As long as 106.5 is protected, I think we can run up to 110, right? So I tweeted this out, I think, on Thursday or Friday. Basically, if we hold 103, my bias is 110, right? And that's going to stick for now. We do have a lot of supply above 108.8. In terms of just the passive side of the book, tons of resting limit orders on the spot side and the perp side. When it comes to perp limit orders, a lot of them tend to be spoofs. We'll see what happens there, but the spot limit orders, the spot book is very heavy, right? So I think what's going to happen is the same thing that's been happening in this range, which is just more PVP type. Not as PVE, meaning more range-bound market dynamics versus your trending market dynamics. So something to be aware of. That's kind of the Bitcoin yap done with on medium time frame. On low time frame, if you guys have me on notifications or whatever, you guys will have seen this morning I talked about daily VWAP for momentum continuation, right? And that's pretty much what we got. Right around New York Open, we held price above the daily VWAP. We're used to seeing big pukes on New York Open. That strength came in right around the daily VWAP, and we pushed right up to the highs, right? So that's your low time frame done for the day. If you want to continue playing momentum, the best place to do so is either going to be at the 1 standard deviation value area high, or if there's somehow another big puke, it's going to be at the daily VWAP. What's more likely, if the daily VWAP is going to get tagged, it's going to be later in the day as price consolidates and this moves up. Otherwise, if we're going to go kind of nutty, we're going to have to hold above the 1 standard deviation value area high. That's your low time frame done. Let's move on to high time frame, and then I'll get to chat. So on high time frame, I want to start on the weekly, right? This is pretty much what I want to talk about is, are we getting ready to just God candle to new highs, and are we going on super risk on? Is this a range deviation? What does this look like? Yada, yada. If I have to use my kind of discretion and experience from this market cycle and compare it to another mode, like a lot of people are comparing it to this and this and this and all these different moments. The thing that this feels most similar to me is this moment right here. Now, I don't know how many of you guys are trading at this time, but what happened down here is we had another summer lull. Bitcoin was obviously very strong off the back of the ETFs, right? The BlackRock is filing for an ETF. Altcoins absolutely were not strong during this. Despite Bitcoin hanging out at range highs, despite Bitcoin kind of threatening to break out, Altcoins were not strong in the slightest. There wasn't a really strong alt market. The strongest alts were actually the DWF Foundation, or whatever they're called, the DWF scam artists, the ones that manipulate all of the perp coins. They had their own kind of perp season here, right? Where they were running up a lot of coins like the TRBs of the world during this time. And altcoins didn't get a crazy bid. And we kept on just kind of getting stuck at range highs. So if I have to put price action and kind of risk, if I have to quantify it to some part of the cycle, this is what this reminds me of the most, where Bitcoin is strong. There's not a lot of risk appetite in terms of altcoins. Altcoins are actually sitting towards the lows or in accumulation ranges, while Bitcoin sits up at the highs. This is very, very similar to that moment right there. Now, this may sound like to some of you people, okay, Doc is calling for a top, right? Doc is calling for a big flush. I'm actually not. I'm basically going to be as bullishly optimistic as possible as long as the daily trend holds in this region, right? So my big cutoff is going to be if the daily trend is lost, we're going to gap down to the weekly, right? 2 times now we have dropped and threatened below this, and we have V-shaped back up both times, right? Both times in the name of FUD, which bodes very, very well for the bulls, right? If you have FUD and you have bearish price action and you've got an opening to take advantage of and bears cannot do anything with it, that inherently is bullish, right? Failed bearish price action is bullish. Failed bullish price action is bearish, right? So we're going to be as bullish as possible in this environment. If we start holding below 103, accepting below, rejecting, not able to recover, that's going to very quickly open up the 90s, right? You want to be as bullishly optimistic as possible at the weekly trend, but the ultimate buy the dip opportunity if the daily trend is lost is going to be under 90, right? That's going to be your super high time frame plans on Bitcoin should this fail at any point. Should it continue to hold? The market's very simple, right? Buy the pullbacks into daily trends. Quantify your alt plans alongside. If Bitcoin's at support, my altcoin's at support. If Bitcoin bounces from here, my altcoin will bounce from here. Very simple ABC type thinking. And yeah, that's going to do it for the yap. That was a pretty long Bitcoin yap there. If anyone has any questions, chime in. Chat is very slow today. How many people do we got in here? Okay, it's a slow day. That makes sense. Only 100 people. Chat is moving so fast, no one will see I own Algorand. Yeah, Charlie. It is not moving fast. Usually I have a lot of decent amount of chatters in here. But yeah, low viewer day apparently. I don't know what you all are doing. Where are the boys? Sound is too low? My sound is too low, or the background music sound? Easily can be fixed. Can you explain your thesis on how to trade EMA and MA on low time frame and high time frame? So you want a full educational course on EMAs. Unfortunately, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to turn this into how to trade EMA kind of discussion. It'll take me maybe 10 to 20 minutes. But if you really want education on that, I mean, there's a lot of public education. I talk about it on my streams. I probably have videos on my channel that'll help you out with that. And obviously in Paragon, there's full length educational channels on trend-based stuff. But TLDR, people use EMAs as this kind of end-all, be-all kind of location. It's the exact same thing as a VWAP. It's the exact same thing as an order block. It's the exact same thing as support, resistance. It's a location or a point of interest where you're going to want to look for pivots in market, right? If you're in an uptrend and price comes back into an EMA, you're going to be wanting to look at this as a point of interest. Can I get some bullish price action at this location to re-enter longs, right? That's basically how you want to frame your mindset into looking at EMAs. People that use these without price action, without flow, without any sort of confluence, I think are going to struggle a lot. If you can combine EMAs with price action or combine EMAs with order flow or anything like that, I think you'll have a much, much more successful journey trading these things. Third time FUD by FOMC. That'd be interesting. I mean, I literally do not care the slightest about FOMC. Every single month. Here, let me tell you guys a little thing. And I want you guys to notice this yourself in your own trading, right? I'm going to say this one time and now pay attention. When we are bullish and in an uptrend, not a single person cares about FOMC. When things get a little shaky and a little dicey and a little confusing, everyone starts yapping about FOMC. Pay attention to that, right? FOMC is only a talking point when people are uncertain. When we're strong and we're confident and we're uptrending, no one gives a damn about FOMC. Don't have to say much, just FU higher. 111 to be precise, send it. Can you look at Total 3 and Dogecoin? Yeah, I can look at those in a bit. You ever short? Maybe like 5 times a year total. GM, the boys are in drawdown. You hate to see it, man. Sol showing strength on a weekend mean anything or not? That's an interesting move. So Solana has been, let's talk about this objectively. Solana's been an underperformer for a little bit of time, right? It's putting in very interesting moves off lows, for sure. I have been a big Solana bull since down here, right? Since the bear market, since the 2022 lows, since 2023 summer range, right? I was singing the praises for Solana. I was very bullish for Solana. It's one of my best trades this cycle. I had a little bit of a hiccup in here where I favored ETH for a little bit for like about a month and missed a little bit of this rally, but jumped right back on the Solana train, right? So why am I saying this? I want to give you a little bit of context for what I'm about to say. Despite all that, despite how great it's been, despite how bullish I've been on it, has it been a great trade in the last year? Absolutely not. It's been resilient in terms of its held values. It hasn't sold off, but the upside has not been there, right? As a measured move from, the 18th to here, right? Pretty much where we've run the all-time is 25% move. Maybe if you caught the wick, a 40% move on the Trump weekend, right? From prior highs. We basically pushed out of our 2024 consolidation, put in a fart push and fully retraced, right? So there was no repricing leg. A repricing leg is consolidate, push up, maybe you pull back, but you consolidate higher and then you can push up again. So there's no repricing leg happening here. It fully retraced back to prior value. So we're just trading this asset as an asset that has found appropriate value. It has sellers at the highs. It has buyers at the lows. It's just ranging. It's not doing anything phenomenal. Now, coming to your question, what do we make out of a weekend move on Solana? Now, I don't know. That's the simple answer. Like a coin is randomly bullish on the weekend. I think what you're going to attribute this to the most, though, is that we were already bullish last week. At the highs, we got the ETF news that they're moving faster on the ETF. Solana ETF's likely to be approved. That happened at the highs. The whole market washed out after that, right? Solana washed out. Everything washed out. And I think this is fresh positioning of you're seeing in buyers for the ETF, right? So people that took advantage of the flush that happened over the past few days are putting some coins or putting some chips into Solana off the back of, hey, when this ETF gets approved, or the idea that the ETF can get approved soon would be bullish for Solana. And I think people are positioning into that. I think that is probably more or less what's happening here. The fact that it's happening on a weekend doesn't mean too much to me. It's just kind of like, yeah, it's a weekend move, right? What I tell students in Paragon is I trade price for price. I try not to focus too much on the ins and outs of, oh, we hit support, but we hit support on a weekend, therefore it's not a legitimate tag of support. We ran a high, but we ran a high on the weekend, therefore it's not a legit. I don't think like that. I just think price is price, regardless of it happens on a Friday or if it happens on a Tuesday, right, or Sunday. That's where I stand with Solana. Lost 50% of the perp account over the weekend to tilt. Ouch, man. You hate to hear that. Sucks, bro. Yeah, you gotta learn from it though. You know, like when you lose a trade, you can't just be like, I'm gonna make it back the next trade. It's not gonna work like that, man. Just take good quality, high discipline setups, and focus on doing the right thing repeatedly, and you'll get there slowly and steadily. Alts killed us, so we're back at work, Doc. It's okay, man. Alt season soon. Is your instinct the same as Magus that we enter summer chop and we'll send Bitcoin to 150K in late Q3, Q4? So actually, I've been saying this before, Magus. Sorry, Mag, I'm taking your spotlight here. I've been saying this since January. Since over here somewhere is that we're going to enter a long-standing range. And I've been saying since basically January, it's very possible that we enter like a 9-month range, which is why I've had these lines on my chart for the last, well, 6 months, is kind of expecting the lows to hold, expecting the highs. So these, even before these lows formed, right? I was speculating that our range low would be confluent with the 2024 value area high as a measured move below mid-range, which is confluent with the yearly open, right? So I came to this conclusion before a lot of people. I said we're going to front run these levels. We're not going to give a perfect retest of last summer's range. We're not going to get a perfect retest of this weekly demand. It worked out very well. We ran up to the highs. And my bias has been range bound till proven otherwise, right? Which has prevented me from just going max risk on and getting fucking obliterated like a lot of people during this little chop. Like James Wynn lost his entire net worth in a 5% range at range high, right? So poor guy, but yeah, my bias has been range bound until we get a catalyst, until we get a narrative, until we get some fuel. We're missing a spark. Have any of you guys, or were any of you guys watching my streams last summer? I was turbo bullish at the lows every time we visited these, right? I kept on talking about bears are failing to break us down. We're holding above the highs. We are holding on the monthly above the prior highs. I put out all this kind of bullish theses out into the open. The thing that I kept saying is, guys, we are missing a spark. And what a spark is, it's a battle cry for bulls to say X, Y, and Z is happening, and I'm buying the coins. I don't care if I'm buying at range high. I don't care if I'm buying at all-time high. We're going higher because of X, Y, and Z. And every time that we've marked up this cycle, we have had that rally cry. Right here, we had Silver Valley Bank going under and all, you know, USDC-D pegging, and we're kind of like, oh, stablecoins suck, banks suck, Bitcoin is bullish, right? Over here, we had the ETFs. Over here, we had Trump being, you know, elected as president, right? Trump is bullish for crypto. Right here, we have kind of nothing. So I will flip my mindset to goddamn, we're going to 150 tomorrow if we have a reason to do so. Otherwise, I'm going to continue trading price as price and staying on the bullish side of things as long as the daily trend holds. If we lose kind of 104, 103, I think, yeah, this whole thing is kind of resetting, right? You're dropping back to mid-range. We'll have an opportunity to hold the weekly trend. If that fails, your ultimate buy the dip opportunity is going to be around 88. Right, yearly open, weekly trend. You even have the yearly VWAP right here. So there's a lot of confluence in the mid to low 90s for us to hold. And if this fails, then it's going to go to the yearly value area low, which is right around 85, 88. I hope that makes sense, right? I have a lot of stuff to say on these things, so sometimes I get lost in the sauce and end up yapping. So. I've unironically gotten myself a full-time job. Honestly, brother, it'll help take some pressure off you as a trader. Not gonna lie, right? If you have a source of income coming in, and your whole life isn't just I have to hit a good trade, I have to make X amount of money, I gotta pay my bills, I gotta do this. I mean, it's gonna take some relief, or it's gonna give you some relief and take some pressure off you, and you probably will trade even better. How do I add the 2 standard deviation to the daily VWAP on TradingView? Let's see. Let's see if TradingView has it. Right here, band multiplier times 2. So you get a VWAP band multiplier times 2. And that'll pull up your bands, and you can color them however you feel like. Any tips on compounding my spot allocations throughout the rest of the cycle? I assume Paragon's has good info on this topic. Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of spot compounding myself. So one of my favorite trades this entire cycle has been PEPE, and I've been compounding it up and down, left and right this entire cycle. Most recently, I even have, I guess, these arrows on here already. But I basically sold right around in this location, like closed out the majority of the PEPE position, compounded off the weekly trend, right? Looked for the compound off the weekly trend, the all-time high pointer breakdown, right? All-time high pointer breakdown, confluent with the weekly trend. This is where I re-entered. I didn't full stack exit here because I was trying to stay optimistic that the market had more juice left in it. Cut the position on weekly trend loss, basically locked in everything from here, and then I've been rebuying down here. So, you know, save myself a lot of drawdowns, sell near the tops, right? And all of this stuff, it's really not that hard to do on a mechanical basis, such as like trend loss, right? Low time frame trend loss, high time frame trend loss, and bearish price action, all these kind of things. It's not that hard to do. The hardest part is just executing in the moment, because a lot of people are going to say we have higher, or you're selling early, or alt season is coming. You know, ignoring those voices and kind of sticking to what you know is the hardest thing to do. It's not actually hard to do. It's not actually that hard to stick to the system. But yeah, there's videos in Paragon. I have videos on compounding spot bags, compounding during a trend, how to pick up spot in an accumulation region, how to pick up spot in a trending market, spot take profit strategies, right? Based on trends, based on price action, based on comparable market caps, based on theses, right? I have a bunch of stuff like that. Can you talk a bit about how you've evolved in terms of adjusting your spot bags? I think a lot of people feel FOMO to not miss a good entry, but you seem very comfortable waiting for Bitcoin first. So my thing, Nelly, is I think it's going to be different for every person, right? My goal from 2022 into 2024 is to force myself to add risk. I'm naturally a risk adverse person, and the goal was you have, you know, the market is set up for you, right? We just had a bear market. We've been basically rounding off for months. The most bearish event of the cycle could not take us much lower. We went like 10% lower after FTX versus 3AC, right? So I was fairly confident in a bottom being in, right, down here. And my only goal was push the risk, take advantage, take advantage, take advantage. I didn't have a target. I didn't have 140K. I didn't have 100K. I just simply said, I think there's a really good likelihood that we can get back to 60K. The way that I was framing it myself is like, what do I think is a higher probability? Bitcoin going to zero or Bitcoin going back to 68, 69K? And my brain said there's a higher likelihood that we go back to 69K, right? And I think it was going to happen in 2024 in March. I thought it was going to happen much later. But the goal is, or my goal was, I'm going to push the risk. I'm going to push the risk. I'm going to push the risk. I'm going to pick up spot bags, right? I'm going to size in properly. I'm going to take advantage of the market. I'm going to stay bullish. I'm going to buy the dips. Now that we're trading at 108K and 110K and we've got all these things, all the good things are happening now, right? All the bad things are happening down here. Now all the good things are happening. Sailors buying hand over feet. ETF flows are good. People are opening up Ponzi schemes to buy more Bitcoin, sell this, sell that, raise debt, buy Bitcoin, right? We're kind of in the froth stages of the market already. So that actually makes me not want to push my risk as much, especially since I've kind of hit a lot of the goals that I set out for myself, right? So I'm comfortable allowing the market to tell me that we are actually that bullish. Like, we are going to chase something. And even if I miss Bitcoin, right? Let's say I don't get the opportunity, I don't get the perfect entry on Bitcoin here, and Bitcoin starts marking up to 114, 115, 116. The risk appetite across the market goes nutty. It goes nutty. Let me give you an example, like the virtuals trade, right? Bitcoin, let me show you this exact moment. Bitcoin is finding resistance at 95. It was crabbing for multiple weeks. We pushed into our February composite value, right? We pushed strongly into here. Bitcoin got a pullback. I said, if I'm bullish on Bitcoin at this low, even though I've, taken profits, like I was long Bitcoin, I closed out all my Bitcoin exposure right here. And I kind of thought this was topped, and I kind of thought this was going to get a deeper pullback, but I had to adjust in this location. And what did I say? I was like, okay, what are the opportunities across the market? And one of the best ones was virtuals. It was coming back to a perfect retest of the daily trend right here. I was like, I have to jump on this, right? And we jumped on virtuals, 55% move over the next couple days, right? Day and a half. So what's the lesson here? The lesson here is if Bitcoin starts breaking out, holding the 4-hour trend, right? Putting in risk dynamic setups, right? The setup that I told you guys about on CT last week, I tweeted this. I said, if the market is going to be trending market setups need to start working. And what is a trending market setup? The 4-hour trend needs to hold. Demand needs to hold. Higher lows need to hold, right? We need to start establishing trending market dynamics. And if this would have held right here, you have so many buy the dip opportunities on altcoins to send them alongside. So that's the way that I look at Bitcoin right now. Show me the way. Show me that people are actually going to come and buy spot up here. It's not just going to be spot asks, right? And perp bid, which is what we saw here, and which is what we saw here, and which is what we saw here, which is people just launching perps into spot asks. That's not a dynamic that's going to get you to break out. So if we change this dynamic and we start seeing the same one that we saw before, which is trending market dynamics work, 4-hour trend is holding, spot bids are coming in at these lows, right? And we flip into this, the altcoin market is now our playground. And we're going to have so many opportunities to just send shit very quickly. That's the way that I see it. If Middle East war, Elon Trump couldn't send Bitcoin lower than 101, wouldn't it require some sort of end of the world event to go down to 88.95? Not necessarily. Let me remind you again. Oops. There was no FUD here. Right? This wasn't like a FUD move. This just happened. This is just a deleveraging event because after multiple weeks we were not getting a bid, right? If you can't go up, you can't go down. So what if we equate that to current price action? What does that mean? That just means if bulls keep on getting dumped on, if people keep dumping spot again and again and again and again and again and again, eventually we will run out of buyers, right? People will defend the lows and defend the lows and defend the lows, but if we cannot get above here and we just keep getting dumped on every single time that we come down here, we're probably going to get a weaker reaction. And why is that going to happen? Because whoever wanted to buy here and buy here and buy here and buy, they've already purchased it, right? They've defended the lows, they've bought their spot, and if they're unable to do so, like we're just going to run out of chips, which is what happened here, right? We held the lows, we held the lows, we held the lows. Was this due to FUD? No, right? The tariff stuff happened later. I don't know where it actually happened, but like bulls can trample over one another, right? It doesn't have to happen due to FUD every single time. Now the dynamics definitely look much different. This is underneath the daily trend. This is above the daily trend, which is why we're just going to keep it simple and say, let's stay bullish as long as this holds. Make it very, very simple. It seems like the most bearish news is not sending Bitcoin lower, which reminds me of FTX didn't sell much lower at the bottom. You are correct, right? That is 100% the right mentality to have, which is if bearish news can't sell us off, you want to be bullish, right? Which gave you the trigger here. With bearish news not selling you off, you want to be bullish. Gave you the trigger here. 100%. But don't let that, turn into this thing where I'm going to just abandon all of my risk management and I'm just going to start launching longs at the highs, right? Be very careful of that. $150 people watching, 24 likes. This math ain't math. And yeah, do me a favor, boys, and hit the like button. All right, before we move on, I'm going to give a shout out to our sponsor of today's stream, which is Bonkbot. I talked about this last week, guys. They're adding and they're shipping new features every single fucking week. Actually pretty damn cool. So I think next week what I'm going to do actually is going to fund a wallet. We're going to send some coins on stream together. I think that sounds pretty fun to me. Let's pull this up real quick. All right. All right, so you guys saw last week, I took you guys through the kind of X-ray or telemetry, right? So by the way, Bonkbot's terminal is called telemetry. And the X-ray tab is pretty cool, right? For those of you guys that are basically shitcoining in and out, you guys will be familiar with the new creations, about to graduate, graduated, basically how much traction an altcoin is getting after creation. Very simple to filter through these things, by the way, right? If you click on right here, like the settings tab, right, you can filter by the launch pads. If you want to remove some, right, that you're not familiar with, you can go ahead and remove those. If you want to basically filter by the funding source, right? So if you only want Arkham funded tokens or Binance US funded tokens or Coinbase funded tokens, you could do that. You could filter by market cap. You could filter by like whether or not they've gotten the DEX listing, right? Some of them will already be on DEXs, some of them won't. Holder percentage, which I think is really cool, right? Like whether the coins are bundled, if you want to stay away from bundled coins, or if you want to be the degenerate that's like, this coin is 70% bundled, they're going to send it super hard, at least for like a day, right? You could be the degenerate and latch onto those things. So I think those options are very, very cool. As well as I think I showed you guys last week, the portfolio tracker, the wallet tracker. Now, I think this is the biggest edge in shitcoining right now, right? If I have to take an objective view as someone, like I consider myself a perp trader, right? I'm not really an on-chain trader, but this seems like the biggest edge that I've come across for on-chain trading, right? If you can find traders that do very well, find whales, basically go through the trades in the market and say, okay, this guy's launching $1,000 and he pulled out 100K, find his wallet address, add it to your wallet tracker, and you can get notified, right? So every time these trades are popping up, right, you can have the sound icon on and it'll just make beeps and boops, right? It's just like in Silico it's just like Agger, right? So if you're a perp trader and you're used to having Agger on in the background, there's a lot of audio cues that can cue you into big buys and big sells coming. Similar thing here for like the whale wallets that you track, right? Anytime they're buying or selling something, you'll see it coming in on the live trade tab. See what they're buying, see what's trending, see the amount of money that they're putting into these coins, see the amount of money that they're pulling out of these coins. And yeah, I think tailing some of these people is actually the most effective way to make money on chain, because it's hard for me to understand when like 10 coins launch. Let's say, for example, like the Elon and Trump FUD stuff that was happening last week. I think that's an event in markets where a lot of people want to run to pump fund and launch like 50 coins. How do you know which one out of those 50 are going to run, and how do you know which one of those 50 is going to run and which like 49 are going to rug? Well, maybe sometimes these are being launched by insiders, and if you can figure out which one of those insiders is usually successful in these new launches, you can find out which one they're buying and just tail them. So pretty damn exciting there. And yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to show you guys before we wrap this up is like, if we go and we find a coin, like you guys see a lot of people buying Let's Bonk, right? We can see what's happening here. Let me get rid of the wallet tracker and just open this up fully, right? You can see if people are dumping, buying, whatever. And if you want to buy the capitulation here, you could do it in one click with the turbo tab. You'll have your presets set in with Solana. You just click one button and it'll start launching triggers and orders in here. With one click. No need to like do a bunch of wallet signing and sign transaction and approve transaction and whatever. It's just going to be one click buying and selling, just like you would on like a centralized exchange. So very, very cool. Definitely give telemetry a shout. And if you guys need a link to get signed up, it's in the description box below. So just go to the description box below. That'll get you guys on the wait list. Remember, this isn't even live yet. Like, I mean, it is live, but like, you guys could get on the wait list to get on there a lot earlier than other people. That's only coming through me and the nice people at Bonkbot giving that opportunity to check it out. So, if you want an edge on chain, check that shit out, because once everyone finds out about, wallet tracking and putting it in an organized place and having these signals of being alerted when certain people are buying or selling certain things, and once all that edge is out there, it's going to get eroded. So, you know, be the first people to take advantage of this and see if you can find an edge profiting on this stuff. Next week, I'll fund a wallet, and we could send some shitcoin trades live for fun. Okay. Good morning, Doc. Does the spark you are missing need to be expected and develop? Okay. Does the spark you are missing need to be expected and developing, or could it be sudden and expected? It could be both, man. Like last summer, let me give you an example. Last summer, I wasn't convinced of what the spark was. I came on here and kind of brainstormed with you guys every day. I was like, I think it could be Trump. I think it could be Trump. I think it could be Trump. But I wasn't convinced that it was. I was just like, I think it could be. I think it could be. I think it could be. Right? And we're picking up steam and picking up steam and picking up steam. And when we're up here, I was exposed. And the reason I was exposed, not because of the spark. I was exposed because bears were failing to break us down. We had the war, failed to break us down. We had Germany selling, failed to break us down. We had Japan yen carry trade nuke, failed to break us down. Then we had like equities correcting, put in a higher low. Interesting. We're putting in a higher low now. We keep holding the lows. Okay. Maybe I want to get in on the next pullback. Okay, what's the meta here? Every single month, at the start of the month, we nuke, right? June, we're nuking. July, we're nuking. August, we're nuking. September, we're nuking. If we have a nuke off of the October open, I want to be a buyer. I want to fucking send it. And that's what I did. And again, I wasn't fully convinced of what the spark was, but it became more and more and more apparent on election day. And I'm just so happy that I bought the kind of absorption of the bearish news here. So one of the things that's happening right now is it's not happening at range lows, because at range lows, it was the tariff stuff. But at range highs now, you're getting kind of some weak. I would say it's not the greatest FUD ever. And the reason I'm calling it not the greatest FUD ever is because we've done Israel and Iran 20 times. Like, this isn't new, right? And how serious is Trump and Elon? I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit serious. It's probably not the most serious. This was crazy, right? And this was a very obvious trade. You guys remember how bullish I was down here for the tariff stuff, and talking about relative strength and talking about momentum loss and all of these things down here. It's a lot easier to be bullish when you're trading at a discount, right, and absorbing FUD. It's a little bit harder to be gigabull when you're trading at all-time high and absorbing. Is it the greatest FUD of all time? I don't know. I don't know if it is. It's something, but I mean, it's definitely FUD. It's definitely something, but is it the greatest thing of all time? I don't know. What was the spark that took us from 90K to 110K? This one? So when I talk about a spark, it is for price discovery. It is not for range-bound trading, right? A spark is often needed when you're in a range and you're establishing something as a high and establishing something as a low, to get people to be like, I don't care, I'm buying the top. I don't care, I'm buying the top. I don't care, I'm buying the top. And they're buying with spot, and they're chasing with spot, right? That is when it's kind of necessary. Otherwise, a lot of these things end up being traps where people are perp long and they're buying little perp pullbacks and they're leveraging long their entire net worth, like James Wynn was right here, and expecting 120K tomorrow, right? Those are the normal traps you find at range highs. Oftentimes, to break out of these big consolidations, you need kind of like a rally cry, right? That's just kind of been my experience with things. You don't really need one, though, to go from mid-range to range high, right? Similar to here. You don't really need something very strong to go from like mid-range to range high. I watched one of Charlie's streams over the weekend and his take on FARTCOIN. I honestly feel it's much easier to put a decent chunk in a FARTCOIN and good opportunities to ride it out. I agree. I think FARTCOIN's a phenomenal trade to take. I'm in a FARTCOIN position from like 95 cents. And I would definitely jump on the opportunity to add lower if the market ever gave me that. Right? I picked up some at the weekly trend right here. If we ever came down into the 60s, 70s, 80s or something like that, I would pick up a bigger position. Right? I don't have the biggest position on FARTCOIN down here after selling my bag on the daily trend loss. So I had some FARTCOIN. I sold on daily trend loss. I rebought on the weekly trend. I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping that the weekly trend holds and then we go into price discovery and Bitcoin goes absolute God mode and FARTCOIN sends to $1 billion. That would be great. But if it didn't and it came back down, I would take that as an opportunity to buy a little bit more. Doc, I'm still at 60% of my spot holdings and I've been praying for upside for 2 years. I don't want to hope anymore and restart with proper risk management. You think now is a bad time to sell? I think clearing the decks is never a bad idea, right? I've been in that position before too, where, like, let's talk about it this way. It doesn't even always have to be spot positioning. Let's say you have any type of positioning, perp positioning, swing positioning, spot positioning, on-chain shitter positioning, and you're just unhappy with it. You're like, the thesis that I bought these coins with is kind of dead. The momentum is not there. I was betting on this cat coin to be the winner, but actually my cat coin kind of sucks and this other cat coin is winning. Definitely take the opportunity, you know, to move coins around and sell your losers and buy the winners, right? There's a lot of people that bag holding Cardano for like 4 years, right? If at any opportunity in the past 4 years you moved Cardano to Solana, and just in being like, okay, no one uses Cardano, but a lot of people are using Solana. They're even using it in the bear market. They're still trading NFTs in 2022. They're still trading NFTs in early 2023. There's a lot of on-chain activity happening. There's a lot of if you just took the opportunity to sell the thing that no one's using and buy the thing that everyone's using, you would be a lot happier. So, like, wiping the slate clean, starting fresh, building a new thesis, building a new portfolio, I don't think is a bad idea. If you're just holding down bad coins and praying for the market to fix your problems for you, that's all you're doing. You're just praying, right? You have nothing in your control. You're just like, I hope this works out. It hasn't worked out for 2 years, but I'm just hoping it works out. It's not the way that I would choose to do things ever. You have a pre-trade checklist? Yeah, there's a video here on YouTube. You're on my YouTube right now. Go to the channel. Go, scroll down to the videos. You'll see a video. It's called Pre-Trade Checklist. Bitcoin is king. If you could trade Bitcoin, trading alts becomes very easy. I think they're different things. I think it depends on the time frame that you trade. But yeah, generally speaking, like here's the way that I would put it. If you can trade spot, you can trade perps. If you could trade Bitcoin, you should be able to trade altcoins, right? You kind of just take the easier trades first. I think Bitcoin's flow is the cleanest, right? Bitcoin's signals are the cleanest. Bitcoin has the least amount of fake out kind of price action, especially nowadays. I think it's gotten a lot cleaner over the years. From what I saw in CT, not a lot of people expected it. I don't know what we're talking about now, man. What are the MIs on the 4-hour trend? No one in chat helping me out on that one? No one in chat helping me out on that one? No, boys. Y'all are going to make me talk about what my EMAs are? It's 13, 21, 34. How do you check spot bids? You can use Agger and Kiyotaka. So Agger will show you kind of your aggressive market bids. You're going to need a template scan. I think the base Agger kind of sucks, but Agger helps. If you can find a proper template for Agger, it's going to help a lot. That'll show you kind of your active participation, and then I use Kiyotaka for passive flow. I'm sure there's other ones other than Kiyotaka, but Kiyo's the one that I've been using. Are we not chatting in the arena today? I mean, this is a public stream, Sam. This isn't a private stream. Unless I have it on unlisted and I'm being dumb. Wouldn't that be hilarious if this was unlisted? No. It's not unlisted. Yeah, brother, we're in a public stream today. I did hit like. Can we chart the fart? We can chart the fart. Do you think FARTCOIN will be strong enough in the next bull market cycle? I think it maintained enough mind share to still be strong and go for all-time highs. I think so. Likes doubled. I wonder if there's a better algo-wise for you to take. Wait like 15, 20 minutes before asking. Interesting. I'll keep that in mind. Hey, Doc, do we use the promo code for Paragon? I don't see the option through the WAP payment process. Yeah, you use the promo. It's Believe. Been on-chain trading for 3 years. Following wallets is the only edge that works for new launches. Nelly, if you've been trading on-chain for 3 years, I'm gonna need your feedback then on telemetry. Let me know what you think of it, because I want to talk to more on-chain traders. Join the waitlist. Thank you, brother. If you were totally sidelined and we broke out now, how would you go about getting involved? The exact same way that I got involved every other time that I was underexposed, is wait for pullbacks into trends. So I gave you the example right here. Look how crazy virtuals went. It did a 200% move off the bottom, right? I didn't buy virtuals off the bottom. I bought it off here at the first retest of the daily trend, and it launched another 60%. Was it the greatest trade of all time? Did I capture the meat of the move? No, but I got a really damn good trade, and I'm not going to be upset about it, right? I'm just going to maintain the discipline and size up into the proper times that I get those trades. Otherwise, there's clean price action. If we're trending, we can always take trending trades, right? You guys forget, a trending market is the easiest market in the world. A range-bound market is harder to trade. A trending market is the easiest market in the world. So if we get easy mode, not only are we going to get a trending market with a bunch of coins popping off left and right, EMAs holding, price discovery on Bitcoin, new launches doing well, the trenches coming alive, airdrop farming being relevant again, surprised, we're just going to get a bunch of opportunity left, right, and center. For weeks, not even just for a day, but you're going to get easy mode for weeks, right? Even in a compressed easy mode like we got in November, it was still about 6 weeks, 5 or 6 weeks of pretty strong opportunity in the market. With on-chain, with like the fart coins of the world come out of nowhere, right? No one knew about FARTCOIN. It just came out of nowhere, and then boom, it goes to $4 billion or $3 billion, right? These brand new coins and brand new metas launch. The AI agent meta launches, right? Virtuals launches out of nowhere and gives you opportunity, multiple 100x's. You're always going to get your high time frame pullbacks. You're going to get your low time frame trending moves. You'll get plenty and plenty of opportunity to get exposure if you want it. Since we had such a massive correction during April with tariffs, don't you think that's enough consolidation? We can have a face ripper rally to 130, 150K this summer. That would be max pain. Okay, for one thing, like I just explained, even if you're underexposed, up can never be max pain. It could be max pain if you're short. Yeah, if you're just like short your entire net worth. But if you're like underexposed or sidelined, up cannot be max pain because up provides opportunity. Right? Even if you miss the Pico low, you can get in on a face ripper rally, right? You have opportunity to get buy and pullbacks. You have opportunities to just buy the dip. If you don't have a system that's involved and will allow you to buy the dip in a trend, then that's a skill issue, right? That's not a market issue. That's a skill issue. So keep that in mind too, right? Prepare for these moments and make sure you have something in mind and setups in mind for how you're going to get involved in a trend. But coming back to your question, don't you think that's enough consolidation? We can have a fade? We could, yeah, of course we could. But ask yourself this, user one. So, okay, market buyers move the market, right? Passive bidders can influence people to market buy, right? If you have a really strong passive book right here, what you can do is absorb a lot of selling if people are going to be turbo selling. And passive bid can also influence people, right? And say, oh my God, there's so much of a bid here. I'm going to front run it. I'm just going to market order right here. I'm going to make sure I get filled. I'm going to make sure I have a limit order right above this guy. Or I'm going to move my order from down here to above this guy to make sure I get filled, right? And that puts upwards pressure on price. But at the end of the day, it's the people who market buy, the people who basically say, I'm not waiting for this. I'm fucking slamming. I need a position today. I need a position right now. I need a position right this second. They're the people that eat up the asks and they start moving price up. So typically speaking, you need an environment where people are ravenous and they're market buying and they're market buying spot, hand over foot to get these big face ripper rallies. But absolutely, yeah, if we get that spot bid above 110 and people are limit chasing and we're not getting these big kind of perp bids into spot asks environment, yeah, we could rip for sure. I mean, Sailor's buying so much Bitcoin, so he's helping us absorb so much sell pressure. Like, whatever the sell pressure is that would naturally have happened during this moment, Sailor's just taking that out of the market. For many people who are thinking we will follow the 2023 and 2024 summer chop pattern, would catch many offsides. I'm sure there's some people that have absolutely no idea how to make a backup plan, and it could catch people off sides. Sure, man. But like I said, at the end of the day, like here, let me take you back to here. Last cycle. This caught a lot of people off guard, right? Everyone kind of thought the bear market was starting and it's fucking over, and there weren't that many bulls down here. There was a few, but there really weren't. This caught a lot of people off guard. And then guess what happened? All of this opportunity period, right? So this idea that an uptrending market is max pain is ludicrous. Infinite opportunity is breeded by an uptrend. Could you check the ETH chart? Yeah. ETH plans are simple. It's trading in a range. There's literally nothing to talk about outside of that, right? Yes, we're above the daily. Yes, we're above the weekly. But if you're kind of just taking trending market trades, all you're doing is round tripping in a range, right? Treat this like a range. You're going to do much better. Try to be bullish at the lows. Be skeptical at the highs. If the market's going to run into these asks again, because that's what's happened over here, we've gotten dumped on over here. We've gotten dumped on over here. We've put in a lot of effort at these highs to try to break us out, and we've gotten absolutely absorbed, right? Look at all the effort that's coming in at these highs. High delta moves, market order bubbles, right? Even over here, right? Just a bunch of effort coming in and people getting absorbed. If that dynamic happens again at the highs, whether we take these or whether we front run, ETH is going to be a good short for people that are interested in shorting, because more likely than not, ETH will probably put in a lower high at this point after taking all this external liquidity, right? All these rogue highs from our February consolidation were taken. This consolidation had a failed breakout, right? So we tried to break above this consolidation. We failed to do so. We deviated above the highs. We dropped back into value after taking external liquidity. If there's going to be a trap here, it'll be like a lower high and we'll run to these lows. I think a lot of people that I respect have very similar plans on ETH. I'm not going to be shorting this, but if you want to hedge or you want to take a bearish stance on the market, I think ETH provides that opportunity, because after something like this that runs the highs, you shouldn't make a higher high, right? You should be trying to make a lower high in this structure and clean up some of these lows. Again, this would be like a proxy trade if these kind of dynamics start opening up at the highs once again. It's just classic, right? Everyone is bearish at the lows. Everyone is turbo bullish at the highs. They cannot imagine an opportunity where we fail at the highs. But at the lows, they're like, oh, the war FUD and this FUD and that FUD. And it's just how a ranging market works. I appreciate you, Amok. Thank you so much for that. If we lose a daily trend here on FARTCOIN, will you cut your bag and buy lower? No. I'm just going to hold that bag. Why do you like the 13 EMA, and why do you use SMA or EMA instead of SMA? Those are the numbers that I've always used. It's not 24, it's 34. Maybe that was a typo on your end. 13, 21, 34. And EMAs track price closer than SMAs. That's why I like them. EMAs take into consideration more recent price action. Take it more into consideration than ancient price action. Even my mom looks FARTCOIN. Promos for the new members only, by the way. Yeah, we're gonna, don't worry about Nelly. We're gonna hook up the existing members as well. You guys will probably even get a bigger discount than new members. So Pepe isn't currently in a good spot to bid, holding the weekly NSR easy invalidation 100%. I mean, I've gone through this a bunch of times publicly. We can just do it again, right? The most strong level on the PEPE chart has been the yearly VWAP. Yearly VWAP just has been a monster, right? And once again, we're kissing and tagging the yearly VWAP. If this is lost, it's probably going to come back down to the value area low, right? At worst case scenario, it'll come all the way back to our accumulation range lows, you know, possibility, right? As long as we're holding above the yearly, or even if we deviate and reclaim, I think PEPE looks pretty good here, right? If you're bullish on the market, this is what you do, right? If you're saying Bitcoin is going to break out, you're looking for altcoin opportunities that are out of support. You're looking for altcoin opportunities that are retesting really strong high time frame regions, right? That's what you're doing in the market right now. If you're looking for these big, mega, giga, gigantic 120, 130, 140 breakouts and you're sidelined, you're basically taking the opportunity to buy these alts in their ideal locations. That's it. Have you bought the World War III scare dip? Yeah. Promo code only usable for card payments and not for crypto. I don't see the promo code box I'm trying to pay with for crypto. Interesting. Man, I wish I had an answer for you. Do you have to pay with crypto? Or is, I don't know, man. We can ask Charlie. He'll be streaming tomorrow if you want to ask him there. I'm sure you could DM him, or I can even bring it up to him. I'll probably talk to Charlie after stream and I'll ask him what he says about that. Okay. Let's look at FARTCOIN. Okay. FARTCOIN holding the daily. I don't love when EMAs flatten out like this, so I'm not going to be using this as the most high signal thing in the world, right? An EMA that's flat is by nature not trending. You want to focus more on price action here than EMAs. I think there's some really clean levels even here on the daily, right? We can just drag and drop this one across. Resistance, support, right? So 115-ish is proving to be pretty good support. If 115 is lost, it's probably going to come back into the 90s, right? If we hold and accept under 112, 115, it's probably going to come back into the 90s, 95 to $1, which in my opinion should provide support again for FARTCOIN. The ultimate buy the dip opportunity on FARTCOIN, which I don't think we're going to get because this coin holds a lot of mind share. We would need Bitcoin to do one of those moves, like we said, all the way down to the 90s and stuff. But the ultimate buy the dip opportunity on FARTCOIN would be at 65, which would be the weekly demand. I don't know if we're going to get that though. As for now, though, this is a really clean trending coin. Daily trend, tons of respect, both on the way up and on the way down. Respect for the weekly here. Looks phenomenal. If we get another dip into the weekly, I think it's a buying opportunity, and I'd probably be adding to my FARTCOIN. SPX. GG's to Murad for, what do you call it? Reviving this coin, man. Somebody asked me, I think on last week's stream, like, oh, we flip all-time high. Should we buy this? And I was basically saying, like, no, you don't want to be, you know, the guy. Oh, who is it? They asked, like, oh, should I be sizing up? Is this the time to launch with size? And I was like, no, you don't want to be launching with size right at all-time highs after like a 3-4x move to all-time highs. You need this to consolidate up here. But yeah, I mean, it looks clean, right? The buy the dip opportunity would have been at the daily trend. It's front running it a little bit. I don't really chart this coin. I don't trade this coin. I don't own this coin. So I'm probably a little bit unfamiliar with what it's respecting. It's probably going to be respecting like the 12-hour. That's what it looks like. 12-hour trend really clean on SPX, right? So if you wanted to bid and buy the dip on this one and bet on continuation and bet on all-time highs breaking and bet at range highs, you're going to want to do so at the 12-hour trend, or you wait for it to clear very strongly, right? Mega clearance above will give you the buy the dip opportunity. No perfect retrace. Play continuation. Prefer to. Yeah, okay, Isaac. I'll talk to Charlie after the stream. I'm struggling with trusting my own trade ideas. I took a very brutal drawdown in summer 2024 and it took me a long time to get over it. Even now, I think it's affecting my confidence. Any advice? I actually have a full video on this too. Mentally resetting after big losses. I actually made that video last summer. So if it happened to you around, like you said, last summer, that's when I recorded the video for the group because I think a lot of other people were struggling with this too. Yeah, man, I think the best thing you could do for yourself is understand that the money that you lost is not coming back, right? A trade is a trade and it's done, right? If you took a big L, instead of thinking, how can I undo what just happened? Try to ask yourself, how do I get better from this? If you have the ability to reframe your losses as lessons, I think you have a leg up on everyone else. Because most people are going to get stuck in the mindset like that. They're going to get stuck in this, oh, you know, the market fucking crushed me. I took this big L. I can't trust myself. I can't do this anymore. And you're stuck in this like fear paralysis moment. But if you have the ability to tell yourself like, okay, that sucked. That hurt. But how do I learn from this? Because I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm not going to allow the market to do that to me again. What was my core issue here? Was it my sizing? Was it my location for entries? Was it the bias that I was using? Was it the system that I was using? Was I just doing very simple, dumb things like drawing diagonal lines on the, on the log chart? I'm drawing diagonal lines on the log chart. I'm basically saying this is the best opportunity ever to bid this line. Those people doing this in the Bitcoin chart back here, right? Like if this was, the way that you do TA and you're just like, this is the best, most strongest opportunity ever, right? Maybe there's something wrong with the system that you're using, right? So you have to diagnose what the issue was that led you to taking that massive loss. You need to come back with a better game plan. And you need to just chalk that up to learning pains, right? I've gone through my fair share of them. I was wrong plenty of times in this market before I figured it out, right? Or maybe not figured it out completely, but started to figure it out, right? And then I just built upon that. And I kept reminding myself that every single time I get something wrong, every single time I lose, there's something to learn from it. If you have the ability to do that, you're miles ahead of your competition, man. You expend your low time frame trading in Paragon? 100%. Yeah, I have videos on it. Consider joining the cult. Mine share is about equal to FARTCOIN IMO. Yeah, I think Murad did a good job recruiting the TikTokers. I think that was really smart on him, man. Can we see TRB? Interesting. 2 people asking about TRB. What's going on with TRB? This is the scammiest of the scam coins. What's going on with this thing? Did we talk about this last week? I have some drawings on here that I don't remember doing. Might have talked about it last week. Man, TRB. I don't know why we're talking about TRB. I mean, it's at support. It's holding on to the daily trend, right? That's really all I can say about this shitcoin, right? It's retracing a lot of this expansion, which I don't love. It is holding kind of support. It is kind of holding the daily trend. It is what it is. If from a high time frame basis, if you wanted to bid TRB, right, it's just giving you clean levels to work with to do so. I don't consider this a trending coin the way that we're trading above and below the 4-hour trend. I think there was probably an opportunity here. That's probably what I was highlighting for someone, right? If we're going to get into a trending environment, you need to start showing trending market dynamics, which is holding 4-hour trends, holding demand blocks. But when you fail to do that, you fully retrace pumps. This is just a range bound market coin, right? And if it's going to scam up a lot higher again and go parabolic again, it's going to be because of fucking that DWF or whoever owns the maximum amount of supply of TRB scamming it up again. TRB paid the rent during cartel season like 2023. Yeah, man. I mean, for a lot of people, it did. I didn't trade order flow back then. I had a very hard time understanding TRB movements, and I was reluctant to trade this. Like, to be honest, I didn't make any money off TRB in 2023, like none. Even though, like, in hindsight, it looks pretty clean. It was just holding the daily trend. Daily trend was a bid. Like, I know in hindsight, it looks really, really clean. But I couldn't bring myself to trade this. I avoided it like the plague. I know a lot of people that did really well. I think Magus crushed this one in 2023. I made 0 money off TRB. Low time frame momentum trades like the one you took today, not only mean reversion. I mean, I talk about it constantly. Like, the concepts are everywhere. Every stream we're talking about little tidbits of information like that. I don't have a strict system video. The reason I have a mean reversion system video, low time frame mean reversion, is because I can teach it with ABC. Meaning, X setup is going to appear X amount of times per week, and these are the things you look for repeatedly. A, B, C, right? Very, very, very simple. Not too much crazy nuance involved. That's why I can make a systems video on it. With momentum, it's not as clean. It's not as easy. It's not as easy as seeing those things. With a lot of momentum trades on low time frame, you're using a little bit of balls tingling at the same time. You use high time frame locations, and you use some of the same concepts as you do with the mean reversion. You know, high effort coming into certain locations, but it's not as clean as I took this trade. I need to be immediately correct on the trade. I need to catch the pico bottom of the puke. That's how the reversion system works. The momentum system's not going to work like that. It's not going to be as ABC, catch this specific candle, close if X happens, right? So that's why there's no perfect system on it. But I teach it all the time, right? We talk about my trades all the time. Do you think we break the 4-year crypto cycles, or is it something you've never placed weight on? I used to place weight on the 4-year crypto cycles, and I've gotten away from it this like last year, I'd say, because what Bitcoin has shown me is that it's not marking up because of some bullshit 4-year thesis. It's marking up for very specific reasons, right? When there's nothing happening in markets, all it's doing is ranging. When there's something specific to for people to want to be bullish on Bitcoin, it marks up like a motherfucker, right? It's not just we're in alt season because the date is 2024, the date is 2025, right? So this 4-year cycle thesis, although it is working out, right? We were bearish in 2022, we're bullish in 2024, right? So on paper, it kind of works out for people, but I don't think just mechanically, for whatever reason, you know, it's going to continue forever. That 2026 is going to be a bear market, and then 2028 is going to be a bull market, then 2020 or 2030 is going to be a bear market. I don't think that continues forever. I think you have to pay attention to risk on and risk off. And if you're not paying attention to risk off, meaning Bitcoin has marked up, Bitcoin is losing trends, and when Bitcoin loses trends, the altcoin market is going to get fucking obliterated. It's not that Bitcoin marks up and starts ranging and now altcoins go crazy, right? You get little bursts of that here and there, right? Where like Bitcoin will mark up and have a mini consolidation, mark up, mini consolidation. When Bitcoin loses its like 4-hour trend, it's fucking over. Right? When Bitcoin loses its 4-hour trend, it's over for altcoins most of the time. So the market dynamics have shifted a lot. You have to really pay attention to what the market's telling you this cycle. And we're not just moving up because of, hey, this is what the date on the calendar is, in my opinion. Yeah, Nelly, that could work, right? Buying the beta play on an asset that's bullish, it could work. Could you check to see if this would be a valid play? I'm trying to practice. Limit long FARTCOIN at 117, TP 133, stop loss 113 on the 4 hour. I just want to make sure it makes sense. Okay, the first thing, I don't have to open the chart. The first thing I can tell you is I don't take trades mechanically like that. Because I need to know what Bitcoin's doing, right? If Bitcoin is in a bullish context, that can be a very good trade. If Bitcoin's not in a bullish context, why would I take that trade, right? So the context of the market matters to me a lot, not just certain price levels. If we get to a certain level with Bitcoin acting a certain way, it could be either good or bad. So now let's look at the trade in and of itself and then take a look. So you said on the 4 hour. Limit long FARTCOIN 117, TP 133. 117. TP 133. Oh, literally where I was. And stop loss 113. So I think that's this low. No, it's just somewhere random right here. Okay. Now I have to try to get in your brain and understand how you're seeing these things. All right, I'm failing to understand how you're seeing it. I wouldn't take this trade the way that it's constructed, because a rule of thumb is, you should always remember this, guys. Write this down if you haven't heard this before. Do not let your stop loss, do not let your invalidation be a better entry. Right? If like you don't want to stop yourself out in a location where it could just be like, oh, easily this sweep could be a bullish trigger, or this sweep could be a bullish trigger. You don't want to put your stop loss in a location that would be someone else's better trigger. So right away, just like kind of entering in the middle of nowhere, right? If you take this from a premium discount point of view, you're kind of just entering right at mid-range. You're putting your stop loss in a discount. You're putting your stop loss at a better entry trigger. It doesn't make sense to me. What makes more sense to me is if you're trying to play this off momentum and you're trying to take a trade off of, let's say, this pullback right here, and you're basically saying, okay, I don't want this to fully retrace the origin of this impulse. I can place my stop there, because if that happens, it may unwind more. And then if it unwinds more, I can take a better trigger much lower. So I'm basically trying to take this on a momentum standpoint. And then you could cross-reference with low time frame and say, basically, how does this look on low time frame? Okay, we're down at the value area low. If we're getting a puke here, which we just did, right? Big sell-off, high volume, open interest closing right into this Houston Aviation value area low. Look at that and basically say, okay, I'm looking for this low to be my low of the day, and I'm looking to mean revert this back up into, daily VWAP or value area high. Look to play trend continuation. If we start holding below that, this whole thing can unwind. That makes more sense to me. When the market goes risk off, do you go heavy cash, the portion of your spot back you hold on to no matter what? There was a portion of PEPE that I held on to last year where I didn't sell all of it. Here. And that would be the kind of only good example that I have of doing that. When we were in this location, I sold like 70% of my PEPE on the 4-hour trend loss, compounded off the weekly trend, and then once again sold 4-hour trend loss up here. But I held some of that stack because I thought that PEPE's not done for the cycle, and I had such a good entry down here. And it worked out for me, and I was able to compound and add more again. But this time around, I didn't do anything. It was 100% cash. There was some bags that I didn't sell, like what was that meme coin that I caught? Like, okay, so just small, like low cap bags basically that my friends shilled to me, right? Those are like dog shit meme coin plays that I just didn't care about. It's such a small part of my portfolio. But the mega big, like big size bags like Solana, I sold on the Trump weekend, and I said, fuck this, I'm out. PEPE, I sold, compounded in here a couple times, and I said, fuck this, I'm done. right? I'm not holding on to it anymore. So I think context matters. What part of the cycle you're in matters. How close you are to your thesis being completed matters, right? My thesis on PEPE was we're going to flip SHIB. When we got within 30 or 40% of flipping SHIB, I was like, man, do I really want to hold out or 30, 40% more pump, or do I want to lock in this gain because I just hit 100x? Right? So those things come into mind. And it's not like a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Like I bought some PEPE here off the yearly VWAP, right? If PEPE comes back down, I'm not going to be too upset, right? Because I sold up here. I'm not going to be too upset about holding a little bit underwater and adding to the bags and making them bigger. But, you know, the answer to your question is it depends on what place of the cycle it is, and it depends on how close your coin is to being thesis complete. I didn't believe that was in for PEPE over here, which is why I held on to some. I believed more so that was in over here, which is why I full stacked it. How do you know if a bear market is how do you know if a bear market is a flash crash like this year and COVID, or a drawn out bear like 2022? How do you know if it's a V-shaped recovery or bear market rally? Interesting question. I think the best thing you could do for yourself is understand what the S&P 500 is doing. If the S&P 500 is sharply crashing, and what is happening at those lows. So one thing that happened for the S&P 500 this year, right? Bitcoin is more or less going to, you know, work off of this, right? If the S&P 500, where's our EMAs? There we go. Right? If our S&P 500 is like crashing into our like 15-year long trend, 15-year long uptrend, and at the lows something mechanically shifts, such as stimulus or something, right down at these lows, or down at these lows there Trump was like, hey, we're going to do a 90-day pause, and that's happening at support, you can bet on these V-shaped recoveries. Right? Something like this was more long and drawn out, right? Because we're so far above the trends. First of all, it's going to take a long time just to get even into the trends. And then once it does that, you know, if nothing is going to change, like what was happening during this environment is inflation is high, inflation is high, inflation is high. So we're hiking, right? We're hiking, we're trying to bring inflation down. So until we can start bringing inflation down, we can't really bottom. You guys may remember inflation was going up this entire time. It was like 7%, 8%, 9%, 10%, all the way. I don't even remember what it topped at, but I think it was like 9% down here, right? And we started recovering when that 9% started going down to 8 and 7 and 6 and whatever. That's what led to the recovery. So the narrative or the idea or the thing behind the sell-off needs to shift. The character of what's driving the market lower needs to shift, right? So the character of what drove this was we're closing everything. And at the bottom, it's we're putting interest rates at 0 and we're starting stimulus, right? What happened down here? Tariffs. And what happened at the lows? 90-day pause, right? So the character of this shifted, which allows for a V-shaped recovery. So if the S&P 500 goes into one of these moments where we're bearish for X amount of reason, and that reason's not changing, it's very strong possibility that Bitcoin is going to go into one of those long, drawn-out, prolonged bear market type of modes again, too. Big op for stablecoin narrative. Genius Act regulations favorable. Please give high time frame entries for CRV, AAVE. These two will benefit from possible ETH eco pumpage. Okay. Let's do these, and then we'll wind things down. CRV was looking good a while ago. So resistance did resistance things. Weekly trend, we're trading below it. It's flattened out. Let's go to the weekly itself. Man, I hate to say it, but this is something that kind of looks like it just wants to come all the way back down to support again. the bullishly optimistic approach here is that we are running lows into the yearly VWAP and we're going to hold here. This was a deviation, right? So if you wanted to make a bull case and a bull thesis here, your bull thesis was, or is, that this downtrend, right? This downwards leg with lower lows and lower highs took our liquidity at around a point of interest being the yearly VWAP. And from here, we're going to make a brand new constructive uptrend, meaning if we pump upwards, the next low will be a higher low, and then we're going to look for a higher high, right? If we get some constructive price action like this, that would be your bull case. If not, and this downtrend is maintained, it's probably going to come all the way back down to these lows. AAVE looks good. It looks like CRV did a couple weeks ago before it topped. What the? There we go. What the hell is happening? All right, AAVE at yearly value area high, so we're trading at an extreme premium, right? We're trying to flip the 271 level, which was previous support. You guys look at what happened when 271 was lost. This thing went complete capitulation mode. So trying and holding and trying to attempt to flip resistance back into support and hold over 271 seems like a really good opportunity to trade higher. If we lose 271, we're probably going to trade back into the yearly VWAP. Right, so those become your if-then plans from here. You want to hold around 270. Losing 270 really opens up 233, and at worst case 170. That would be the way that you look at something like this. You can look at the EMAs too. Trends look great, right? Look at how well this lines up with the daily and the weekly. Right, so basically if 270 is lost, which basically means like the daily trend is being lost, we go to the yearly, which basically means the weekly. A lot of confluence in that idea. But yeah, I mean, AAVE looks good, right? It looks 50 times better than CRV, holding trends in a strong uptrend, reclaiming basically this mega pointer breakdown. When 270 was lost, the thing went to zero. 270 was resistance, now flipped to support. Daily trend confluence looks great. As a trader, do you benchmark yourself to Bitcoin returns? Is that not a fair comparison? I do. Yeah, I do. 100%. I try to beat Bitcoin every year, and I've been successful beating Bitcoin for the last 2 years, so 2023 and 2024. But that's, I mean, I think it's going to get harder to do. So now the challenge comes is when your capital grows, right, as mine has, is am I able to continue doing it as my capital gets bigger and bigger and bigger? Because it's kind of easier to do when you're worth 5 figures or 6 figures. When you start getting 7, 8 figures, right? I'm not 8 figures, but when you get there, then you need to have, you know, pretty much the balls and the courage to take bigger bets and continue beating the king. AAVE and Maker have been the killer DeFi trades. I think Maker, you know what's funny is I have this feeling that Maker is strong every summer. For whatever reason, I feel like Maker is really strong every single summer. Let me see if I'm talking out of my ass or not. Okay, so 2023, yes, it was extremely strong against the market. The market sucked in June, July 2023. Maker was a legend. Let's see, last summer. Not really. This is kind of May, June, July. I do remember Maker being strong because I was taking a trade off Maker here, but I guess stronger than the pack. And then here we are now. Maker looks great right now. Maker looks really, really good right now for sure. Do you trade weekly ranges, Monday's high, mid, low? Sometimes. I use those sometimes, not every day, but yes. All right, gents. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover. Bitcoin dominance. I mean, what do we say about this? Like that we're not all on the same page with. This thing looks phenomenal. And it's gonna be hard for me to believe that this is like a top, right? I think you just continue betting on the trends here. This is a monster weekly uptrend. And it seems like the obvious target that we all have is like 70. Unless this market structure breaks, unless this trend is lost, unless this trend flattens out, it's going to be very hard to bet against Bitcoin dominance just going higher. And in fact, that's really what you want to see. At least that's what I want to see. I want to see Bitcoin dominance leading breakouts, because then altcoins can follow, even if it's short-lived, right? If Bitcoin is stuck at 110 and Bitcoin breaks out 110 with Bitcoin dominance leading, all that allows, like, let's do a hypothetical here. It allows for a few weeks of Bitcoin dominance correcting, right? And this thing becomes our alt season. I know they're not that exciting, but like, think of all the money that we made here and then here and here and all these opportunities where Bitcoin dominance was going down, right? These were big money making opportunities for us. I wish I was involved in this or this. When do you know when you do, how do you execute your trades? I don't know why that messed up my brain so bad, brother. When you do, how do you execute your trades? So I look at Monday's high, Monday's low, weekly value area high, weekly value area low, in EMA, the H4200, the order block. I look at all of these as points of interest, right? And the execution all becomes the same. Am I getting failed momentum in these locations, right? So if I'm trying to short and price is going up into that location, is there a loss of momentum? Is there someone that came in and slammed those highs and got absorbed? Is there a low time frame market structure break? Is there a low time frame EMA loss, right? These are the same triggers that you use regardless of the location, regardless of the system. I think those are the best kind of triggers: is failed momentum, failed acceptance outside or above those levels. So basically deviations above and below, and high effort going into those locations, failing to cause continuation. Basically people break out longing or break down shorting, failing to cause any type of continuation. Can we chart syrup and parcel? Sure. Are you curious at all about some of the things on Hyper EVM? I should be, brother. I should be. I've been slacking on that front. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, all of 2025 has felt like a vacation to me. This is my first vacation in years, taking it easy. I'm slack. I mean, this thing's a god. This thing's just sent from the heavens, bro. Like, what do you want to say? It's holding the daily trend the entire way up. It flipped prior all-time highs into support. It held the daily trend during FUD. It gave you a wick close to the daily trend. Like, it's not even giving you the perfect tag anymore of this. It's probably trending on the 4-hour now. It looks great, right? All you're doing on Hyperliquid is buying big dips, right? The thing that makes it easier, even if you're getting front run in these locations, is where's Bitcoin, right? And you can take your Hyperliquid trades based on Bitcoin. Bitcoin comes to support, Hyperliquid capitulates, you're bullish on Bitcoin, you want to speculate on Bitcoin bottom being in, you can always send the Hyperliquid trades. Okay, you said syrup and parcel. I think this one looks really good from memory. If you get a dip into here, that's probably where you want to bet on continuation. last down move before the up candle that broke structure, right? This is downwards bearish structure. There's your market structure break, pulling back into this. That's your breaker slash demand. Both of those things being true. 4-hour trend confluence. This is where you want to see the dip come in and defend it if you're given it, right around 49 cents, right? And then you kind of play towards new all-time highs. Deeper dips will be into the daily trend. If you want to take spot positioning on this location or in this coin, you want to do so at the daily trend. High time frame trends are going to be better for spot positioning. Low time frame trends are going to be better for trend trading. Will you farm the next potential hyper liquid airdrop? No, I'm already fumbling that. LAUNCHCOIN, I marked out ranges at 16 and 21. Are we deviating lows and claiming back? Is it a good place to buy spot and TP range highs? I also feel the deviation. Found support at the yearly VWAP. Okay, let's look at LAUNCHCOIN. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's back at the daily trend. It's going through a compression right now. So you are bearish on the 4-hour, bullish on the daily, breaking and holding above this consolidation, breaking above the 4-hour trend. You can take 2 triggers here. One would be the cleanest is if you get an expansion candle above this, shallow pullback, play trend continuation, right? The other trigger would be you're trying to just bet at the daily trend right here, right? Bet on try to get a pullback into the daily trend like this morning, bet in this location and validation on daily trend loss. Let's look at the yearly VWAP. Okay, this doesn't have a yearly VWAP because it launched in April. What was your question? I marked out ranges at 16 and 21. Let's get rid of some doodles. That's right around 16. What'd you say, 21? Where's 21? I mean, they're respected levels for sure. That's probably not how I would draw a range at this point. I would have drawn this range earlier, like when we were back here. I think you're gonna have to adjust your levels a little bit for ranges, probably to this. From here, though, like I mentioned, I think holding the daily trend, this is a pullback that you want to buy if you're bullish on LAUNCHCOIN. It is holding the daily. If you lose the daily, it's probably going to come all the way back down to 11 or 12. You said you would farm airdrops. I know. You know what the part is? The strange part is it's so easy for me just to take my capital to Hyperliquid and trade on there instead of Bybit or whatever. But yeah, I have never done that. Like I don't really farm airdrops. You know, the most money I made on airdrops was on, I think Milady. No, not I think, I know. I own, a bunch of, well, I don't own that many of these anymore, but I bought Milady's and I bought Remilios, and just for holding those NFTs, they kept on giving me airdrops. And the thing for me that was luck, because of my laziness to hold all my NFTs in one wallet, I held them across like multiple wallets. All those wallets got eligible for the airdrops. So I was like double dipping on those airdrops because I owned those NFTs. It was really fucking nice. All right, a couple more questions here. Can we chart ONDO? I think ONDO has been really weak recently. I was expecting more from this. Okay, it's back at the listing anchored. So if you look at the history of ONDO, it's done a really good job of defending the listing anchored VWAP. So we're right there once again. We're right at the listing anchored VWAP. We're trading below the yearly value area low. Another good rotation would be if we reclaim the daily downtrend and the yearly value area low. That could be a really good rotation all the way back up to yearly VWAP, right? Right now you're at turbo high time frame support. Even locally speaking, if you just draw like horizontal levels, right? Really clean support level right here. So if you want to be bullish on ONDO, this is the location to do so, right? Acceptance and holding under the listing anchored, acceptance and holding under this support level could bring much lower lows like 50, 58 into play. Holding here looks pretty good. Flipping the daily, reclaiming, like I said, reacceptance inside the yearly value. You can rotate back up to here and even up here. I think you're missing out, or maybe it doesn't scale to your capital. I'm definitely missing out. I mean, if I just traded on Hyperliquid when people were bull posting on it, I could have made like fucking $5 million. But I try not to think about it. It's just another trade, you know? Some people hit it, some people missed it, you know, good for the people that hit it. My thesis, or my not thesis. I'm trying to think of the word that I'm looking for. My outlook, or my approach on markets, is if you're good at something, focus on that thing, right? Put all your attention towards the things that you're good at, and try to extract max value there. That's what's kind of prevented me from doing a lot of on-chain stuff, because I know that when the markets are strong, my focus should be on perp trading and extracting value and positional trades and everything like that. It shouldn't be, let me deviate and do all this on-chain stuff. I think maybe there's an argument to be made that I could probably do both. But yeah, I just kind of stick to the main thing. I try to focus on, this is my game plan. This is what I'm trying to achieve. And as long as I execute on my game plan, I leave happy, right? If farming something isn't in my game plan, I'm just not going to do it. Did you do parcel, or am I missing something? No, I forgot. This doesn't look good at all. I would just completely avoid this coin. Making lower lows under last summer's lows, it's just not something you want to pay attention to. Like, look at ONDO making higher lows. Yes, it's retraced all the way, but at least it's making higher lows. Look at, what was this coin? Parcel. Right? This is just not a coin that you should want to be interested in. That just looks terrible, man. Hard to make a bull case on this. I missed the beginning of the stream. Will this still be available post stream? Yeah, man. The whole stream is recorded. It's uploaded. You could do it right now. You could just scroll back in the stream right now. Drag the YouTube bar all the way to the beginning. You don't have to even wait till the stream finishes. But yeah, let's call the stream there. I appreciate you guys for joining. The Bitcoin Yap was long, lengthy, a lot of game plans there. We talked about a whole bunch of stuff from high time frame to low time frame, from the momentum trade on low time frame. I think I even tweeted out this morning that, you know, momentum on low time frame should come from the daily VWAP. That's exactly what we got. We talked about the super high time frame plans. We talked about the game theory of failed breakdowns and how we want to maintain bullishness above the daily trend while it's here. We're getting news absorption. We're kind of ping-ponging between bulls getting very horny at the highs and bears getting very horny at the lows. We are trading right now definitively right around mid-range. We're trading into the premium once again. From here, the most optimistic approach for a proper breakout is going to be if we get spot chasing, right? You want spot to come up here and start chasing and chasing and chasing. You want spot TWAPs to lead this. You don't want perps to just be hammering longs into big spot asks at a premium. This is where everyone tends to get very, very, very fucking horny. This is where everyone gets very scared. The market is trading like a range right now. It is taking liquidity from the lows. It's trading back to range lows. It's not trading very trendy. It's not respecting the 4-hour trend. For bulls, right? The 4-hour trend needs to be respected in a fucking parabolic environment, right? That's the trend of choice. So once we start respecting that, then you're gonna know, like, it's go time. That makes the market really, really, really simple and really easy to navigate, is when we just start trending off the 4-hour trend, right? For now, the market is telling you that we're respecting the daily. You keep your plans very simple, right? Try to be bullish at the daily, especially if there's FUD being absorbed. But yeah, guys, I'll leave you there. Hope you guys have a good one. We'll talk to you guys next week. Yeah, later.